Hi folks, I'm Pete, founder and chief nosh of Great American Nosh, where we live by the mantra, eat, drink, and savor. Thank you for joining us. I hope you are enjoying our programming. Our content is evolving as we grow and become mature. Hopefully you have seen some of my wine tasting videos. We haven't done a lot, but I do wine tastings for a corporate client and looking to add a couple more. With those tastings, I am presenting to an audience that not necessarily knows everything about wine or wine tasting or what you need to do. And the one thing I really despise about some of these wine programs, and I guess people in the industry, not all of them, a few, there's a tendency to be a bit of a snob. Yes, wine snobs do exist in this industry, and I don't know if it comes from the industry or it just comes from people in general. You can debate that some other time. My thrust of my programming is not to make you feel stupid. My thrust of my programming is to actually make you a better and more educated wine taster, wine consumer, a wine appreciator, I guess is probably another term. And it's really to try to demystify a lot of the things that you see out there and where you can be intimidated when you go into a wine store, go to a winery, where you just are feeling vulnerable. And I really want to dispel a lot of that. So let's get down to why we're talking today. I'm going to just basically give you sort of a high-level view of wine tasting. Now, we're not talking about wine drinking. Wine drinking is, me guzzling this down in one gulp and moving on to the next bottle. That's a different program, maybe. Wine tasting is about taking your time, enjoying what's in the glass, looking at the color, all those other things that go with wine tasting. So when I do wine programming, I always tell my audience members, first of all, we're going to focus on the look. So in this case, we have a wine that you can find in most stores, a Kendall Jackson Chardonnay, pretty widely distributed in the United States. It's actually a pretty decent wine. It's one of our house favorites. But in this case, we have a Chardonnay. Chardonnay really, see, I'm already spilling it. So with a Chardonnay, you're going to have this beautiful, I would say this is more of a gold. The whole idea, we're going to look first, and then I don't have this with me, but normally with red wines, I would look at a white background to give this more of a perfect kind of color match. But you could see that this is relatively kind of a gold, lighter gold, maybe on the edge of a yellow type wine. Thing that we do, besides looking at it and actually appreciating it, we give it a little swirl. Now, the reason why we do this is that wine has been bottled for quite some time. Whites are less than red, but you could see that there's been no air, nothing. It has been bottled since it was pressed. It needs to breathe. And when it does breathe, what it does is it exudes all this aroma, bouquet, all the flavors get released into the air and obviously into the glass. Now, we're going to talk about glassware some other time, but I honestly think if you just drink out of a glass, I think you'd be fine. Doesn't matter what, but you can get a little geeky on it, but I'm not going to, because this is not about being a geek. No, not at all. Anyway, we are going to swirl. We swirl, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of short whiffs with our nose. Now, what you're trying to do is get your nose, your olfactory senses rolling, kind of prepared for what you're looking to obviously smell. Now, what are we smelling here? The whole idea, and with these descriptor words, you've heard me say cat litter and tennis ball and, burnt rubber, all kinds of, it's really just descriptor words. Those are not necessarily what that wine does smell. It smells something like it, but it doesn't mean it is that. It's just a way for us to describe things that other people would understand. So when I say kitty litter is mostly clay, gravel, earth. That's kind of what I was getting to. So when we are describing these aromas, first of all, we're going to focus on, let's talk about fruit. Fruit is usually first. Then I go to earth, I go to flowers, and then any other scents that come out. So it could be a cigar smell, tobacco smell, ash, wood, vanilla, cinnamon, spices, anything else that comes to mind. And I always just try to get 2 or 3. My nose is not as attuned to these senses than others are. Some are more apt to be better tasters than I am. But the whole idea is to smell and kind of describe what you smell. Now, when I also look at wine, I also look at the back label, and I look at their tasting notes, and I'm not necessarily going to follow that to the letter, but when it says vibrant tropical aromas and flavors of pineapple, mango, papaya, I'm thinking citrus, tropical, okay? Now, you may smell something different. I smell more of a papaya, no pineapple. Maybe an unripe, what is that? I can't get that right. An unripe mango? Probably an unripe mango. That's the other thing. If you want to add some more flavorful descriptors of like, okay, it smells like a mango, but what type of mango? Or what type of pineapple? I did not smell the pineapple. And it's more intense on the bottom, very floral on the light. I'm getting more of a lilac on the top for some reason, like a flower. I'm not smelling much for wood. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit now. These flavors will evolve, or these aromas will evolve over time. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a very sip, swirl it around in our mouth, make sure it touches all areas of the tongue and the roof of your mouth. Swallow and then breathe through your nose. Now I don't get much of alcohol. When I breathe through the nose, when you ever had anything high alcohol, it will burn. In this case, it doesn't. Does anything prickle your tongue? That's more the acidity. Tannins are more of an astringent thing. Is it full body? Is it light body? Is it medium? And somewhere in between. What you're trying to determine is how it feels in your mouth. So let's do this again. I think there's more of a creaminess. There is some acidity here. I find it a little bit more refreshing. Some Chardonnays can be really heavy with the creaminess, heavy with the oak. There's not much, some oak here. Not as much as I would expect, but in this case, they do say it has fermented in oak barrels and adds a rich undertones of vanilla and toast. So I am getting a little bit of that. Not over the top, but not nothing. Because a lot of times winemakers will make their white in steel. Fermented steel, stainless steel. They will not even deal with the barrel. They think they just put in the steel, get it out, sell it. In this case, they put Kendall Jackson puts it in their barrels. So I'm trying to get all of these kind of put together, and it's like, it's really refreshing wine. I actually quite like it. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Look, smell, taste, feel. That's really what it comes down to with wine tasting. And this is just a brief primer. I hope that you've enjoyed this little short stint I'm giving for my Nosh Nation members. So thank you very much for your support. I really appreciate it. Eat, drink, savor.